We are sitting here today with Dr. Jairo from Universidad del Norte, and we're going to have a conversation about American politics, a brief conversation. So, Jairo, I would first like to ask you about your initial reaction to Donald Trump more likely than not getting the Republican nomination for president.
Actually, I have become surprised because at the beginning, when I heard that Donald Trump was candidate of the Republican Party, I said, how come? This is just a clown. That's what I thought. I didn't think he had any chance to be the official Republican nominee for this for the presidency. But now I am rethinking what's going on in the American society. I mean, how come is this possible? I have lived in the United States. I know that you have some backward region in the U.S., like Midwest and South, but generally speaking, I would say that the level of education is higher than we have here. Maybe more informed than here. The TV is involved in the political debate. So I have been a little bit surprised with this result. And in Latin America, we are very worried about what's going on in the U.S.
Yeah, and I can understand those concerns because of how he does speak about the Latino community. And there are close to 500,000 Colombians living in the United States. And so that definitely affects Colombians in this region specifically, because people have family living, either if they're in Miami, has a huge amount of Colombians, as well as New York City, some of the major cities in Texas. So it could really affect people here on that level.
Yeah, I have traveled a lot through the U.S. and I have found Colombians everywhere, from the east to the west. And I would say that many of them have some migration problems, papers issue, and this new government coming from possible Donald Trump worries everybody because he's going to tighten the migration situation.
And
even though in Obama, the process has been very tough already in Miami. People are being rounded up and expelled from the U.S. And I think that with Trump is going to be worse. So we are very much concerned. Now, talking from an economic point of view, I mean, all the research that has been done in the U.S. shows that migrants are a positive effect for the U.S. economy. So this is a kind of a very narrow-minded place for the U.S.
yeah, do you think that Donald Trump's economic policies seem realistic, or he hasn't expressed them in detail? He's briefly touched on foreign trade and free trade. If you have read up about it or heard anything about his policies, do you think they sound realistic?
Well, one problem with Donald Trump is that you don't know what he really thinks. I mean, he changes the speech. A few weeks ago, he said, what about this war with Mexico? And he said, well, that was only a suggestion. What a suggestion. So the problem with this kind of populist candidates is that you never know what they really think and what they are going to do. And I think that the Republican machinery thinks that once he gets into power, they are going to advise him, to control him, and I don't think that's going to be true. I think this kind of person, they have their own agenda. You cannot control him. So I heard in some program on TV that he's kind of the emerging of populism, like in Andrew Jackson, the President Andrew Jackson in the past. So this is not the first time in American history we are like witnessing this kind of phenomenon. So it's, for example, in protection, it seems to be like realistic. We need to control the import from China, wherever. But we do know that the U.S. has signed free trade agreement with many countries, and the U.S. is not going to engage in a trade war with China.
Oh.
That doesn't make any sense. So I don't think it's very realistic, even though he's concerned about protection. It doesn't seem very realistic according to what's going on in the world economy.
Yeah.
So I really am worried. Nobody knows what's it going to be.
I think it is definitely a time to be worried. If you're American or not American, no matter where you are, with the amount of power and support that he has been able to pull behind him, it's very scary. And that's...
I was surprised. A big article in Wall Street, you're not showing that, well, Donald is not so bad, we can advise him, we can control him. And I think that's very optimistic. I mean, you cannot control a guy like this.
He's not a puppet.
No, he won't be.
No.
He will fire everyone, right?
Yes, going back to his reality TV days.
Right. Or for the Hispanic community, there are many issues like this problem of migration. What kind of political agenda is going to support Latin America? For example, in Colombia, we are going through this peace process. We want the government to move from the right political stream to the center, going through this conversation with the FARC, trying to get this peace process, but I think it's very necessary. What's going to be his policies? He's going to support that.
Yes, that's one of my concerns in doing research and trying to find what he says he will do, his platform. But like you said earlier, he flip-flops. He's always flip-flopping, so we don't know. And the unknown is very scary. And I think that's where I want to ask, as a Colombian, sitting here, you've lived in the United States for several years. You've studied, you've worked there, you had your family there, you raised your girls there. What do you think of Americans now? Now that you see that so many Americans are so gung-ho for Donald Trump, do you have a different opinion of the American public now?
There are words like from Michael Moore, or let's say this comedian that I used to watching on HBO, Bill Maher. He said that Americans are becoming stupid. I don't want to think that, but to me, having lived in the U.S., going to the American university, getting in touch with the American culture, I am really very much surprised. Because at the beginning you only thought, okay, this is a redneck problem. Rednecks are going to support Trump, and they are a minority, so you don't have to worry. Any person who is smart enough or has some academic formation is not going to support Trump. Now you see everybody being aligned because of the partisan fight. Okay, Donald Trump is terrible, but we're going to get in control of the president. That's the only thing that matters. I think this is playing with fire in a very unstable world, because if you look at the international problems that we have in the world, especially the problem of security, we are not in a safer world compared with 10 or 20 years ago. We are in a very unstable world. So any guy who hasn't the right temper to deal with the problem with the North Korea or the Middle East, or even in Latin America with the problem in Venezuela, I he can make great mistakes.
They will be everlasting mistakes.
So I am really surprised that at the beginning when I thought, okay, this is going to be a contest between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, I said, okay, it is going to be a landslide victory by Hillary Clinton. Now you see, no, this is going to be a very hard struggle, and Hillary Clinton can lose. So I am very much concerned. I wonder what's going on among the American people. I mean, I understand that people from Main Street are disappointed with the economy, low-wage jobs, but Donald Trump is not going to solve that problem. So I'm really surprised that this is happening in the U.S.
Yes, I think a lot of us as Americans are. And like you said, even people with the slightest bit of education, you would think would see through Donald Trump, but apparently that's not the case.
I think that all of us has misread what's going on in the American minds.
Exactly.
And now we are getting these results, and I wonder what you are going to do with the rest of the world. I mean, Europe is also worried. The fanatics in the Muslim world are very happy that Donald Trump is going to be president.
Yeah, and I know that I smile and kind of laugh a little bit at that, but it's true. It's true and scary. And maybe that's why Donald Trump is doing so well, because he's playing on people's fears to some extent.
Yeah, I have some hope that maybe, yesterday I was reading in the New York Times, somebody wrote that maybe after Hillary got the nomination, the enthusiasm to face Trump will add more people to this process, and maybe there's going to be a reaction, especially in the Latino community, Black community,
Women.
yeah. So maybe it's going to be a reaction that is going to push ahead the possibility that Hillary will win the election. It's not easy. We are very much surprised and worried. Nothing more.
Well, Jairo, I'd like to thank you on that. And like you said, hopefully these different groups and most Americans can come together and rally behind a decent candidate. Let's hope that happens. But I'd like to thank you for talking with me today and for your time.
Thank you, Sarah. Good to have you here.